This looks like normal text, but it's messy enough to break Excel. Let's fix the kind of hidden text problems people run into all the time. If your Excel data has extra spaces or strange characters, two functions solve a lot of that pain. I'll show you how to use trim and substitute with everyday examples like a grocery list and phone numbers, so you can quickly tell which one fits the problem. Let's set sail. We're going to start with this list of grocery items. And while it will look mostly normal, you may notice that there are extra spaces in some of the items. And that can cause problems when you do a comparison or try to filter data. Let me show you what I mean. This simple compare is looking at cell A2 and checking to see if its value is exactly the word milk. And if it is, it will return value is milk. And if it's not, it will return value is not milk. So I'll press enter, and you see it returns that the value is not milk. And that is an indication that while we expect it to just be the word milk, there are extra characters in there. And in this case, there are spaces before the word milk and also possibly spaces after the word milk. That is very easy to clean up using the trim function. The trim function will remove spaces at the beginning of a value in a cell, at the end of a value in the cell, and it will also reduce multiple spaces from the middle of the cell. You look at row 3, the contents are eggs large, but there are actually 2 spaces between the word eggs and the word large. So we want to get rid of the 2 spaces and just leave 1, and trim will help with that as well. To show you how to clean this list up, I'm going to use the trim function in column B. And just that quickly, we've cleaned up all of these grocery items and removed the extra spaces. And the nice thing about the trim function is that it's very easy to use. You just type equals trim, open parentheses, and then the cell that you want to clean up, followed by a close parentheses. And it puts the results in the cell where you use the trim function. And it does not overwrite the original values unless you paste the trim values back into the original cells. And I want to show you how to do that as well, because quite often the trim function is an intermediate step to clean the data and then replace what you originally had with clean information. We select the cells. I'm going to Control C to copy. Click back to the first column. We can't just do a paste because that will paste the trim formulas into column A. So instead, we want to paste the values. So I select the first cell in column A, and then I'm going to right click, and I'm going to choose this clipboard that has a 1, 2, 3 on it. And that's a special paste option that just pastes the values. It doesn't paste the actual cell information. And that's what we want in this case. We just want the values that are in the cells, not the formulas. So I choose that, and now all of this data is clean. We still have the trim function in column B, but it's not having to do any real work anymore because our data is already clean in column A. And you can also see that the comparison in column C now states that the value is milk. And that's because we have cleaned the data, and the if statement now sees the value in A2 as being equal to milk. So now that we've cleaned the item names, we really no longer need the 2 columns where we've cleaned the item name and this comparison. And so we can just delete them. One other cleanup is instead of calling this bad item name, we're just going to call it item name because it's now clean. And now we have our list of clean item names. Trim is great when you have extra spacing, but sometimes the text is consistent enough to read, but it just needs specific characters replaced. And that's where substitute comes in. So we'll take a look at how substitute works. We enter the function by typing equals and the word substitute, an open parentheses, and then the first part is the cell that we want to substitute text in this case A2. The second part is what we want to look for in that text that we are going to replace. And the third part is what are we going to replace that text with? In this case, a dash. So we are taking all the spaces in the bad phone and replacing them with a dash. And you can see that we now have a phone number with dashes in it. And of course, we can copy it to all the values in our bad phone list. And the result is something that's much more readable and more consistent. Now, just like the trim example, I'm going to use Control-C to copy, and then select the bad phone cells and paste values again. And now I have the clean phone numbers in that first column. And just like with trim, we no longer need the substitute functions that are in column B because we copied the values to column A, so we can select that entire column and delete it. And now we are left with all of our easier to read phone numbers in column A. And I'm going to rename it to just phone because it's no longer a bad phone number, it's just a phone number. Now, sometimes you might need to combine these two functions together. Here we have a list of bad phone numbers, and not only are they missing the dashes between the different segments of the phone number, they also have extra spaces at the beginning and end, and we want to get rid of those in addition to adding the dashes. And we can do that all in one function by combining both trim and substitute. And before I press enter, we'll take a look at how this function is working. The first thing it's going to do is look at the trim function and trim A2. So it's going to get rid of the extra spaces at the beginning and end, and then take that result without the spaces at the beginning and end and look for any remaining spaces in the phone number and change those to a dash. And now we have a nice clean phone number. But it's important to note here that the order that we do this in matters. In that first example, the trim happens first, so it cleans up extra spaces in the phone number and then does the substitute. If we do that in reverse order, we will not get the result that we want. And I'm going to use the second phone number as an example. So in this formula, we are using the substitute first because it's on the inside. Looking at A3, finding all the spaces and replacing them with a dash. And then when that is done, trim is going to look for multiple spaces at the beginning or the end and remove them. And you see what has happened is because there's an extra space at the beginning and the end of the phone number, those have already been replaced with dashes before trim gets a chance to remove them. So that's where the order actually matters. And we'll just do a quick compare of these two. So in this second one that doesn't work, substitute happens first because it's on the inside, and then it attempts to trim. In the first one that actually works, we do the trim first, so it gets rid of spaces at the beginning and the end, and then what's left are just the two spaces in the middle of the phone number. And so we get the phone number in the format that we want. So to clean all the phone numbers, because this first one worked exactly how I wanted it to, I am going to copy these all the way down, and now all of the phone numbers are in the format that I expect with dashes in between each of the segments. You'll find that you'll have messy text show up, especially when you're copying information from websites or other sources into your spreadsheet. And it can cause a lot of quiet Excel problems. But once you know what kind of mess you're looking at, the fix gets much easier. Remember that trim will handle spaces, and substitute handles specific text or characters, and together they can solve a lot of issues. Until next time, I wish you smooth sailing.